The job reports came out last week for November, and it wasn't good. 32,000 lost jobs over the last month is actually going backwards. It's not going forward. So, where are the jobs going, and what can we do to fix it on today's episode of Saving America's Money? One thing I want to talk about is really the small business market because I think what we're seeing right now is a lack of employment and opportunities in small businesses. Now, if you think about a small businesses make up about 60 to 70% of all U.S. jobs nationwide. If big corporations are cutting back, the small businesses typically are there, especially around the holiday seasons, to take up the slack, right? Um, One of the things that we're seeing for sure is that corporations are cutting back on even seasonal hiring, which is huge. I remember back in the day, I used to go work at Macy's every year, right, for their seasonal sales season, and I loved it. I used to work in domestics with towels and blankets and pillows, right? But if those particular companies aren't hiring for those seasonal jobs and small businesses are effectively not hiring or cannot hire, then we're in a bit of a problem. So, where are going to be some of the opportunities that you have, right, going forward for 2026? If we know small businesses are drawing back and large businesses are drawing back, then you have to position yourself in a way where you have to learn a new skill. What I'm seeing is that you're going to have opportunities in trade, manufacturing, and possibly even other tech areas to provide services towards small businesses because they still need services effectively. All right. But I want to talk about unemployment really quick. We'll come back to that. One of the reasons that I think this economy is definitely heading in a downward spiral because unemployment is still relatively high, not as high as it's ever been, but we're not seeing those jobs come on the market to keep it to sustain it lower. So I think we're going to see an uptick next year in unemployment. Right now, we know that 7.4 million people across the nation are unemployed. What does that mean for you, right? That means that if you're someone who's unemployed right now, you have to learn a new trade, skill, something to offer society, right? And there's just so many opportunities I think are going to come up in the future where you'll be able to offer a trade or skill or service to a small business, to a government entity. Some of the areas that I think you have opportunity will be in construction, will be in manufacturing, will also be in automotive, right? People still need cars, right? Um, Entry level work though is something that I think is what you're seeing is a big downturn because most companies want people with 5 to 7 years experience. This is where I think small businesses really played a great role, right? You can be out of high school or college and go get an entry level job at a small business because they'll be willing to train you as long as you show up on time, do your work, treat people well. You'll learn customer service. You'll learn project management, data entry, all those things, all those skills. If small businesses aren't hiring and they're not growing, then you're not seeing a lot of experienced data entry or experienced job placements for people with little or no experience. That was one of the great things I think in the late 90s, early 2000s that I took advantage of, right? I was able to go work at little places in college. I was able to work for the Atlanta Journal Constitution, right? I was able to do delivery, for another small paper. I was able to work at a mall, right? Talk about working at a mall during the seasonal holidays and how great that was, right? But all those things gave me some type of skill, right? Whether it was sales, whether it was logistics, whether it was customer service. At 17, 18, 19, I was already developing those skills. And that is a big problem I think that we're going to see in this generation right now because a lot of these small businesses, like a city like Oakland, that thrives on small business, that really was a small business hub for a long time until it was, really for sure the pandemic drove a lot of those business out, but that's a whole nother conversation. Like cities like Oakland and other small cities have that ability to allow small businesses to thrive as long as they don't play political games to drive them out of there. But not going to go there today. Our goal though for the future is to make sure that you're trained up in specific areas, that you have the opportunity to have gainful skills to provide services back to the business market, obviously to everyday people. So, if we think about ways for you to become gainfully employed in 2026, some of the things I would think about is, again, learning a new skill and data analysis, automation, cybersecurity, right? If you don't like tech, if you feel like that's not for you, learn a practical skill within HVAC or mechanical engineering, things that you can go to a trade school and learn and apply that for your future. Look, I think what you're going to need to see, or what we're going to see in 2026, is a lot of transition back to skilled labor, right? And beyond, because there is going to be a manufacturing, um, it's going to be a manufacturing kind of relocation back to the U.S., right? What the tariffs are doing, they're forcing companies to have the manufacturing back in the U.S. That is going to provide new opportunity for people to build the infrastructure around those manufacturing hubs. Okay. So, big opportunity for people to get back into trade skills, because not everybody is going to be able to sit in front of a computer. A lot of what AI is doing today is taking those jobs. So we actually have to do the physical labor, which I swear, if I had to do it over again, I definitely would not be mad at that. Okay. Um, I think we're in a very interesting time period, right? But this is more of an opportunity than anything for everyone. Okay. The economy is slowing. Small businesses aren't hiring. Big corporations are also slowing. But that does not leave you powerless. That just means that you need a new strategy. So that's what we have to focus on for 2026 beyond. What new strategy are you going to implement for yourself and your family to make sure that you can have an amazing life? With that being said, guys, this is Saving America's Money. Be strong, be safe, and continue to save America's money. Peace.